Hey, what's up? So I got a story I wanted to tell. And I've been telling the story to everybody close to me for years, but I wanted to kind of put it out there because it involves like kids and my grandson just turned 10 last month, and he has been asking for a pair of Air Force Ones. And my daughter and my son-in-law kind of brought that up to me, like one of the last times I was there to see them in the last couple months. Well, it reminded me of a time that I was 8 and I wanted the same thing. So I went on a trip with my dad to Washington, D.C. I was living in Long Beach at the time. I went on a trip with my dad to Washington, D.C. to go meet my grandparents from Mexico, who I had never met. I was born in the States and stuff, and they lived in Mexico. And my uncle lived there, and he had just got married. And so it was like a pretty dope opportunity for me to kind of meet them, and they'd never seen me before, and so it was dope. And so like I wanted to show up. So I told my dad, like, hey, is there any way that you could buy me some new shoes? And he was like, yeah, I can buy you some new shoes. He's like, I'm not spending a bunch of money on them and shit. Like he's a paisa, man. He doesn't look at it like, to him it was everything that I did as an American kid. Everything I did to him was just ridiculous. It just none of it made sense to him, because he grew up super modest and kind of humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Like so I get that now, but at the time as a kid, I just kind of painted him as ignorant. I'm like, you don't know shit, So nonetheless, well, so I wanted some white on whites, some Air Force Ones, and he says, well, let's go try to find something like that. And I was like, something like that? Like, I know exactly what I want. We don't have to do all this other stuff. So, long story short, we ended up at Payless, and there was a brand at Payless at the time that I don't think is still around. Somebody check me on that, called Coasters. And they were white on white, same like silhouette as the Air Force One. Looked identical, missing the swoosh, and then had like a little navy like logo that said Coasters on the side. And I've always done this thing my entire life of kind of trying to make the best out of whatever, hopefully we all do. I assume we all do. And I was like, well, I'll do it. I'll take care of them. So I said, yeah, go ahead and buy them for me. He bought them for me. And my dumb ass was like, well, I'm from Long Beach. Washington, D.C. at the time was the furthest I'd ever been from home. And I was like, man, I treated it like it was another planet. They don't know shit. You know what I mean? They're not going to know what nothing about me and these kicks that, I'll probably get by without that. And so we land, and we're at the time, my uncle lived in like this high rise condo, and kind of walking up to it after we kind of got off of the car when they picked us up, there was this big, huge, like grass field out in front, and a ton of kids, just all city kids, man, playing football, soccer and shit. And so I was like, oh, that's dope. It was like some people to hang out with and stuff while I'm here. And so we go upstairs and kind of drop our luggage off and all that stuff. And I'm kind of spinning, I was bored. I was up there with a bunch of adults, and I was the only kid. There was nobody else, just me. And I told my dad, I'm like, hey, man, you care if I go outside and kind of mingle with these kids, And he was like, sure, go ahead. And so I go outside and I show up, and then kind of right away, they kind of just congregate around me, like, where are you from? And like they could tell that I wasn't from there. And I was like, yeah, I'm from Long Beach, Los Angeles. And they're like, oh, sweet. Well, hey, we're getting ready to play some touch football. You want to run? I'm like, yeah. I'm 8. I guess I don't know if I mentioned that. I was 8. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so, we get to running, we get to playing, and throughout the game, everybody's kind of taking spills and stuff on the grass, and we're all covered with grass stains and stuff. And my shoes got some grass scuffs on the side of them. And so like I go walk over to this bench, and I'm like trying to like rub the grass off it, like licking my finger and trying to rub grass off it and stuff. And one kid, and I remember him, I'll never forget him. I hope he's okay now, but he's probably bummed. But his name was Alfonso. And he is like, hey man, this dude is wearing bubble gums. And I was like, bubble gums? What the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, man, those are like fake Nikes, right? Those are Coasters. Those are from Payless. And I'm like, fuck, man, you know about that? And so I remember feeling pretty devastated. I was pretty crushed, And so you know, they made this song up, man, that it was like, bubble gums ain't got no grip because it make you fall down and bust your lip. It was horrible. It was like, you know, just like today, that kind of bullying would send somebody to therapy. You know, I brushed it off, but anyways, so that kind of thrusted me into like wanting to get like fresh and starting with my feet, you know. So I remember that after I got home, I said, I'm never going to be like in that position again where like people are going to make fun of me for what I'm wearing. And that kind of pushed me into like, just, you know, clothes and streetwear. And I took a lot of pride in like ironing my clothes and kind of everything always being like kind of just dope, you know, G'd up from the feet up my whole life. And so when Dominic says, you know, he wants some Air Force Ones and he's 10, like, I understand like consumerism and material shit. And like, I probably shouldn't like feed that beast. But I think of like 8-year-old David and I'm like, you know, let him get fresh, man. So I don't know. Think about it. You know, your kids want something. We're all there. All of us with kids are asking ourselves, should I pay this much for this jacket or this shirt or whatever? You know, if it ain't gonna kill you, you know, my take is let the kids get fresh, man. I don't know. That's it. It's just me talking shit. Don't listen. Whatever. Do your thing. You got it right. You're doing great. All right. Peace.